This is chapter 3, part 3. We just have one more legal perspective that we need to go over briefly to complete the important items from this chapter, and that's legal realism. According to this perspective, the courts create the law through their accumulated decisions, meaning the law becomes whatever the courts say it is. So here you have an emphasis on law being decided by judges, and that there certainly is a history, an ancient history from England of respecting the decisions made by judges from specific cases, and that tradition of respecting individual case decisions ends up being the body of law that's with you today. And so that's the focus of a legal realistic perspective. Now, one thing that it kind of ignores a little bit is that the other source of our laws comes from legislatures, lawmaking bodies, here in the United States at the national level, Congress, that makes laws. And so that's different than the courts, than judges deciding things. But anyway, that's the focus of these legal realists, is on the courts. Legal decisions reflect the values and the attitudes of the judges. So it's sort of the interpretation of the judges that ends up really being key in what law ends up being. Interpretation is real and appropriate. So this is seen as being a good thing, that the judges can look at a case, consider all the facts, and then render a judgment based on those facts. And that then becomes a precedent, which is referred to in future cases that might have similarities. So again, judges are central to this sort of perspective. Legal realists do not claim that the law has a specific foundation. One has to take a problem-solving approach. So these folks don't think that that the law has a moral foundation, or there's not a focus on natural law, connection to transcendent truths about right and wrong. It's more practical and down to earth like that. It's just this idea that we have judges, and hopefully they have good judgment and make good decisions, and those decisions accumulate over time. And so it's sort of this down to earth human kind of approach. The law does not need to moralize, but only to give a meaningful answer to victims of crime, to offenders, and to society. So again, down to earth, sort of practical, and with not having a focus on right and wrong, on moralizing. Legal realists focus on the courts, but they also focus on other criminal justice actors like prosecutors and also the police. Discretion, judgment, interpretation on a case-by-case basis is emphasized. So these guys fall into the camp of trusting authorities, trusting police officers, prosecuting attorneys, judges, probation officers, etc., that they can look at the facts of the case and interpret the situation and make good decisions based on that, so that the law should be flexible and the law should empower and give a lot of discretion to these criminal justice officials. A leading exponent of this legal realist approach is Richard Posner, who says that law is a dynamic, interactive activity. It is created through negotiations, often in a political context. The ultimate responsibility is with the people in a democratic society. So here he's got a little bit more of a focus on the democratic nature of laws, that we elect officials who then make laws, statutory law, that's what we call laws made by the legislatures, and that those laws, hopefully, they should be a reflection of our core values, and that the ultimate responsibility for those laws falls upon us, and if we have bad laws, it's really kind of on us to try to get those laws changed and corrected and improved. Anyway, so the chapter goes further into the details of these different perspectives, but I just wanted to stress, and there's quite a bit in this chapter here, I just wanted to expose you to a variety of types of thinking here, so that you can see the way different folks think about it, and also to ask yourself, your own self, what makes the most sense for you in how we approach these laws? Do you like the sort of big, transcendent, perspectives? Some people tend to like those because they think that that you are in a better position to criticize laws if you have some transcendent right or wrong that you can refer to criticize current laws. Some people, like we noticed we mentioned Mortimer Adler before, who would say if you just rely on human judgment to make laws, you're not really in a position to criticize them very well. You could say, well, this society, take extreme sort of example like the Nazi society or something. You say, well, those people elected Hitler to office, and then you had a system of a legal system put in place, and they decided those laws for themselves, and so if you might. A person who takes a very down-to-earth approach says, well, it was right for them, and what we do is right for us. Well, that relativistic approach is a kind of unacceptable if you have a society with laws that are very inhumane and unjust, where a lot of people are suffering or being killed. You need to have some sort of grounds to criticize that. So if you can, that's just a point I want to make here at the end about these views that take the position that there's ultimate right or wrong. If that's true, then you can fall back on those to criticize bad laws that are on the books right now or bad legal systems that are in operation right now. So anyway, however you come down on this, there's pros and cons certainly to each kind of perspective.